Namaste. My name is Kirti, and on behalf of Himalayan Yoga Association, I welcome you all to this online teacher training course. I am a teacher here at Himalayan Yoga Association, and I will be taking you through the concepts and details of the human body and yoga altogether. Let's hope you enjoy this course. Let's start. Namaste and welcome back to the online yoga teacher training course. My name is Kirti and I'll be taking you through the anatomy session. In the previous session, we discussed why understanding and studying anatomy is important. In today's session, we are going to understand the different directional terms as well as the different anatomical body planes used to describe the human body as it is. But before that, I request you all to please come and chant the Gayatri Mantra with me. Simply sit in any meditative posture, activate Chin Mudra, close your eyes, and only and simply observe the passage of breath flowing in and out of your body. There is nothing to do right now. Absolutely relax and be in the present moment. Allow your breath to gather your complete awareness and attention to the present moment as you are. After your mind has completely relaxed, please, without opening your eyes, gently bring your hands in front of your chest, Namaskara Sthiti, and touch the heart center with the back of your thumbs. Chest wide open as it is. Proudly, please chant the Gayatri Mantra with me with all dedication, devotion towards everything that makes you breathe, that brings life to you. Let's chant the mantra. ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात् ॐ Having absorbed the vibration and the benefits of the mantra, let's create some energy between our hands by gently rubbing your palms. Cover your eyes with your palms. Massage your face, the back of your neck, and transfer this energy to wherever you wish to transfer. Please keep your eyes closed. As soon as you're done, gently bring your hands in front of your chest once again. Bow down to your fingertips and with a few blinks, open your eyes and welcome back. So, in today's session, we are going to understand and study the different directional terms of anatomy. This is a very basic concept and it will help you clear out a lot of things in case of medical terms right here. The different directional terms of anatomy is quite similar to that of a compass. How one thing is related to the other, how the east is always facing the west and the north is always facing the south. No matter what you do, no matter where you are, you can still make a sense of the direction by the understanding and awareness of which direction you are in if you're using a compass. Similar to that knowledge, you can make sense of the most of the body parts in case of the human body with the help of the directional terms of anatomy. There are many different aspects of studying it. Anatomy is like a completely different language in itself, and these directional terms have been created with the sole purpose of reducing or avoiding any confusion related to the body part. Just to give you an example, the heart is only on the left side of the human body. From one perspective, it could come in a different direction. From the other perspective, it would come in another direction. To avoid that sort of clash or conflict in case of discussion, have our ancestors, the previous medical people, they have created the directional terms of anatomy. And without further ado, let's go ahead and start with the topic. So as you can see, there are two diagrams made out here. One is the front view and the other one is the side view of a certain human being. And it has a lot of things mentioned, different terminology is mentioned. When I started my own yoga journey, all of these terms, they made completely no sense to me at all. And I'm sure they must not over there. But for that same purpose, I am here to give you an explanation about what these different terms mean. Let's start with the side view first. There are four aspects of a human being: front, back, up, and down. Anterior, posterior, superior, and inferior. If I have to explain it, anterior is all about the front side of the human body. Posterior is all about the back side of the human body. For example, the chest is always on the front side, or we can also say that the chest is anterior to the human body. The hips, the buttocks are always in the back side of the human body, or we can also say that the buttocks are always posterior to the human body. Anything which is close to the head is always on top of the human body. Anything which is close to the head is referred to as superior or cephalic. Anything which is close to the feet or the opposite direction of the head is called as inferior. Superior, inferior, much like north, south. Okay? You can make sense by how and in which direction a certain body part is if you are aware of the terminologies. And here it's pretty easy to understand that the complete opposite or at the bottom of the human body would be considered as inferior, while something on top would be considered as superior. You can see it in the front view and the side view as well. Superior is common to all both diagrams. Now, ventral and dorsal are two the same things as anterior and posterior, except that they're related to the belly area of the human body. Anything which is close to the belly portion of the human body, the belly is in the front, of course. So anything which is close to the belly portion of the human body is also referred to as ventral, and the opposite of that would be dorsal, which is close to the hip of the human body, towards the back and close to the hip. Ventral, dorsal, both related with the belly region, front and back. The last thing that you need to understand here is again caudal. Caudal is basically more or less a similar name to inferior, but just I've mentioned it here because I want you to understand the difference between cephalic and caudal. Cephalic, again, something which is close to the head, and caudal, something which is towards the lower part of the body. The body is divided with a thin midline which divides the body in four portions: up, down, left, right, front and back. So in that case, anything which falls in the lower part of the body is also called as, referred to as caudal. Now I want you to switch over to the front view of the human body, and here you see that there are two different names mentioned here: lateral, medial, proximal, distal. And here in the same diagram, you see that the proximal and distal has been mentioned twice, one in case of the leg and one in case of the arm. If I have to explain you the difference between proximal and distal is that anything which is closed to the origin of the body part that we are discussing is called as the proximal part of that human body. For instance, in case of the arm, straight away, the proximal part is also the origin of the arm. The arm originates from the shoulder and ends at the fingertips. In this case, the proximal part of the hand, the arm, becomes the shoulder, and the distal part of the hand becomes the fingers or the fingertips. As you can see, the same example in case of the leg as well. The proximal part is the hip joint because that is where the leg originates from, and the distal part is the foot, which is the farther end of the certain body part, whatever we are discussing. I'll give you another example, something a little more complicated, but I hope will clear out this whole concept. Um, Observe this finger, the single finger that you can see out here. The joint where the finger starts and is connected to the palm is the proximal part of the finger. The tip of this finger, the farther end of the finger, becomes the distal. This whole concept of proximal and distal is applicable on each and every body part. Granted, we are discussing that body part individually. Otherwise, there is always the whole concept of superior and inferior whenever we are discussing the human body as a whole. Now, the medial or the axial and medial are the same thing. If you're referring the yoga manual that we have provided you, then it's also mentioned as axial. Medial, like I told you, that there is an imaginary line which divides the body in left and right portions. The part where that line divides the body in these two equal parts is called as the medial or the axial point of the human body. The opposite of that, which means something which is not close to the midline of the body, something which is far away from the midline, or we can discuss as the outer edge of the certain body part or the human body, is called as the lateral part of the human body. So lateral, something which is on the outside of the human body. Medial, the opposite of lateral, something which is close to the midline of the human body. This is all you need to understand about the directional terms of human anatomy. After understanding the different directional terms of human anatomy, we also need to understand the different anatomical body planes, as you can see right here. This is not very complicated to understand. These are pretty easy concepts, and if you just observe these diagrams without me having to explain it to you, you would still be able to make a lot of sense about what's going on in here. Now, first thing I need you to realize and understand is that your human body is not a 2D structure as you see in the cartoon. We are all multi-directional human beings. We look different from different angles, and we have different things located, different organs, different body parts located in different aspects of the human body. Just to make the understanding and the location of those different body parts more easy to understand, there also exists the whole concept of anatomical body planes. Let's talk about the transverse plane, or the first one, as you can see right here. Now imagine a person is standing upright, completely straight as it is, and there is an imaginary line which is dividing the body in two equal parts towards the top and towards the bottom. This line or this plane which divides the body in the top and bottom portions is called as the transverse plane. The second type of the body plane that we're going to discuss is called as the sagittal or the lateral plane. Imagine an imaginary line dividing the body in left and right portions. Now, if you remember the directional terms of anatomy, medial and lateral. Lateral was something which is on the outer edge of the human body as compared to something which is on the midline or close to the midline of the human body. On those lines, sagittal plane is the imaginary plane which divides the body in left and right portions. Transverse plane which divides the body in top and bottom. Sagittal which divides the body in left and right portions. There is one more aspect or there is one more dimension that needs to be discussed, which will clear out the whole concept of human body. Is called as the coronal plane. Coronal, or you can also call this as the frontal plane. The coronal plane is the imaginary line which is dividing the body in front and back, or we can also say that in anterior and posterior portions of the human body. A human body which is dividing the body in anterior and posterior locations. Once again, go through the whole thing. Simple. Transverse plane, something which divides the body in top and bottom. Sagittal plane, which divides the body in left and right portions. And coronal or frontal plane, which divides the body in front and back, or anterior and posterior locations of the human body. That is all you need to understand about the anatomical body planes of the human body. I hope you enjoyed today's lecture. In the next video, we are going to understand and begin understanding the skeletal system of the human body. This was all for today. I'll see you again next time. Until then, namaste and thank you.